This is the best Leica ever made. And no, it's not an M6. And for a Leica, it's actually kind of affordable, at least until this video goes viral. So there I was, 3 months ago at another estate sale, digging through garbage looking for a deal. And there she was, not the Leica, but Sarah. And she found something. This lens was heavy. I had no idea what it was, but what I did know is I fucking wanted it. And that's when I saw it, right there at the base of the lens. Made in Germany. That could only mean one thing. This was a goddamn Leica lens. And where there's Leica glass,
there's gotta be a Leica.
So I went back to digging through trash, and before too long, there it was. A leather camera case with that distinctive cursive logo. I open her up, and sure enough, it said Leica, but there was no red dot. This is the Leicaflex SL2. The best Leica ever made. Now at this point, I had no idea what a Leicaflex even was, so to make sure I wasn't wasting my money, it was time to phone a friend. And who better to call than the #1 photography troll, big-time Toast Studio portrait photographer and world-renowned shitposter, Mr. Enabler himself, Alexander Just. Wait, okay, now it's going. Okay, so
buy it.
Okay. You don't even want to know what it is?
No, I'm just enabling you just to buy it.
I got the Hasselblad, next thing you know, I'm a Leica owner.
Yeah, dude, it's just your time. You like live in the land of cheap cameras. The cool thing about that is that thing doesn't need any batteries.
Well, this is another episode of Alexander the Enabler.
Yeah, just buy it. Max out the credit cards.
Okay, I'm gonna make everyone jealous. Be a Leica owner now. Well,
right.
Thanks, man. I gotta go find Sarah. See you, man. What have I done? First a Hasselblad, now a Leica. Am I part of the Filminati? That was good. So yeah, I obviously bought it, and I was pretty stoked. I was finally a Leica owner. So let's go shoot this.
Wait!
There's a problem. Oh yeah, so the battery compartment was super duper corroded. Now, it's no big deal because this camera has a fully mechanical shutter, but I'd like a Leica with a light meter. Like a Leica. So I took off the base plate, blasted it all with contact cleaner, scrubbed it with a Q-tip, and good as new. The light meter is working. So now let's go shoot this thing. It's time for pony pictures. Look at this little cutie pie. Here's a couple of shots of old Whitey on the 50mm Summicron f2. And then here's a couple more pony pics on that there big old lens, that 180mm Elmarit. I gotta say, this big ol' lens is kind of a pain in the ass to lug around, but at least I can get some big ol' stupid moo-moo longhorn pics like this one. Okay, so I thrifted some camera, cleaned it up and took some animal pics. Big whoop, who cares? What makes this the best Leica ever? Well, I was getting to that. Like I said earlier, compared to an M6, this thing is actually affordable on eBay. But just because you don't have to sell a kidney to get one of these things today, doesn't make it any less of a Leica. Back when it came out in 1974, the SL2 was literally the world's most expensive 35mm SLR. Kind of a weird flex, but I guess that's on brand. Now this wiki says it retailed for around $1,600 in 1975. Twice the cost of a Nikon F2. For perspective, that's nearly $10K in today's money. Some things never change. Now, despite that hefty price tag, the SL2 was so well built and over-engineered that Leica still lost money on these things. They were selling these things at a loss because not only was it the most expensive 35mm SLR to buy, it was also the most expensive to make because precision German engineering. How do you do a German accent? You see, those krauts at the Leica factory were really overcompensating when they were designing the SL2, because they were kind of in a pickle. The world was falling in love with the SLR, and out of love with the rangefinder, and Leica was falling behind. Their first two attempts at making an SLR weren't that successful. They had two commercial flops on their hands after the original Leicaflex was launched in 1964, and 1968's Leicaflex SL didn't do much better. So, can the SL2 save them? Well, by 1974, the market was already flooded with amazing mass-produced SLR cameras from Japan. So the SL2 was up against giants like the Nikon F2, the Canon F1, the Pentax Spotmatic, and the Olympus OM1. So what did Leica do to fight back against all them fancy modular electronic auto metering techie Wunder cameras? Did they invent some fancy electronic shutter? Slap on an exposure compensation dial? Implement some auto exposure mode?
No!
They just made a really nice camera. Let me explain. But first, look at me taking this sick picture of this phone booth. Hell yeah, phone booth gang! Vote in the comments below which one's your favorite. You like it from the back or from the front? You know what I mean.
I'm talking about the picture.
Anyway, I really meant it when I said the SL2 is the best Leica ever made. And not just because it's the only Leica I ever shot. It's because precision German engineering. The SL2 is a fully mechanical marvel and the last Leica SLR to be 100% completely designed and built in-house by Leica themselves before they moved the factory to Portugal. It's a pure German camera. And you can tell, this thing just feels really good in the hand. You know, that same bullshit line that every Leica owner says, so I guess I'm part of the Leica psyop now. Anyway, I guess it's true. This thing's just fun to hold and fiddle with. This thing's 50 years old, and the shutter sounds great at all the different speeds, especially for someone who shoots a Canon A1. The advanced lever is super tactile with all these nice little positive stops. So you can lock it away when not in use, pull it out to this stop to activate the light meter, lock it out at the 6 o'clock position for more thumb support, and then that advanced stroke is just super satisfying. Then the shutter speed dial. It almost looks comically big at first, but it feels great. Super easy to operate with one finger. That's what she said.
Got him!
And to top it off, this thing apparently offers intermediate shutter speeds in between all the regularly marked speeds. Meaning, if I spin the dial so the arrow is pointing in the gap between 1/15 and 1/30, I should be able to achieve something like 1/20 or 1/25. Now, I'm not sure exactly how granular this control actually is. I've read that you can even achieve plus or minus 1/16 of a stop, which seems like overkill. Anyway, here's a slow motion test.
So if this works, the one on the right should close first. Okay, looks like it did. There we go. Okay, that means it works. Hooray!
Honestly, it's pretty freaking bonkers they were able to achieve this. Variable speeds with a fully mechanical shutter. No wonder this thing almost cost 10K in today's money. Also, you see the way the mirror is flipping up out of the way there? Apparently Leica spent a ton of money on R&D making sure they were minimizing the vibrations caused by mirror slap. Okay, that's enough nerd shit. Let's go shoot this thing again. Hell yeah, it's landscape time. Here's some footage of me posing with the 180mm, even though these first two shots were actually taken with the 50mm. Had to specify, you know, in case Reddit was watching. Anyway, here I am swapping to the 180mm for realsies this time, and here you go. We got some tighter shots of the same overlook. Let me know in the comments below whether you like it tight or loose. I mean wide. Whether you like it tight or wide. You know what I meant. Anyway, finally we get this super duper creeper zoom on this Fisher guy, and I think it turned out pretty fly. Anyway, here's a few more shots from that first roll that didn't get no B-roll, like this here clock tower thingy, this epic trash can banger, and my favorite, this fucking sick ass shot that Shmoo got. What you know about Squint Squad, biatch? Now for something completely different. Puppy flash time!
Figured out a way to terrorize the puppy. With my Leica.
This is the most important measure of any camera. If I can't use my Leica to take pics of my Wrigley puppy boy, then it's going in the trash. And look at that, Walker is tack sharp, baby. And yeah, if you're wondering what's wrong with this film, me too. I found this stuff in a homemade bulk loader. I have no idea what this film stock is or what the heck's wrong with it, but it looks pretty neat.
Okay, I think that's it. Say thank you to puppy.
So leave a comment below if you know what the heck's wrong with this film, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see a full-length dedicated video to this mystery film. So, the Leicaflex SL2. It's built like a tank and you can take pictures with it. But how can we be certain that it truly is the best Leica ever made? Let's put it to the ultimate test. The one subject no Leica shooter can resist. That's right, an old abandoned gas station. This is what dreams are made of. Well, that settles it. Looks like you don't need some overpriced rangefinder just to take cliche film photos with a Leica. At the end of the day, all cameras do the same dang thing. They're just tools, a dark box with a hole in the front. And the SL2 is pretty bare bones, just full manual controls with a light meter. Usually, I hate being without auto exposure modes like aperture priority, but with the SL2, I didn't really miss it. Using an old match needle light meter system kind of reminded me of my first film camera, the Miranda Sensor X. Anyway, I've run 4 rolls through this thing and I frickin' love it. I would love to get a wide angle lens for it, but Leica glass is expensive. So for now, the Leicaflex is gonna be my go-to old school 50mm camera body. Anyway, buy my merch and donate at madebylopro.com. Thank you, Internet. I'm Nick. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Join LoPresti Army. Give what you can today to help make analog fun again. Even if it's a couple of bucks a month, you get your name at the bottom of the screen like these cool guys. Whoa, don't you want to be cool? Look, these are my real homies. We talk all the time. We're best friends. We always Skype and everything. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell icon. It really helps. I've got merch, I've got stickers, I've got trash can shaped film capsules. Please help support the channel. Every bit helps. Okay, if you're still here, say Leica. Wunderbar.